Today, the star of the show is none other than Siddharth Jain, who is the director of the Inox Group. Siddharth, thank you for having us.
My pleasure, Avanne. Welcome.
And our set for the day is the lovely Inox Insignia that's newly opened at Atria in Worli. So grab your popcorn because this is going to be one blockbuster show. So Siddharth, let's wind the clock back, talk at the very beginning, where your family really dabbled into various industries before coming down to the conclusion that it was the film exhibition sector to focus on. Let's talk about your journey. How has it been?
So it's been now about 17 years. We started in the year 2001. Traditionally, the Inox Group has been into manufacturing, and in 1999 we decided to diversify from the manufacturing sector more into the services industry. So we've actually hired McKinsey and we did a year-long study, and we came up back then as the multiplex industry as something to venture into. And ever since then, you know, we just got right into it, and it's been 480 screens ever since, and a successful 17 years.
A successful 17 years it sure has been. Now, I understand that you said that you're in talk with some single screen players as well who don't have the expertise to get into the multiplex sector, which is where you would come in. But I want to understand your positioning. Is it that of a high-end cinema, or would you also like to penetrate into tier 2 and 3 cities?
So primarily we don't operate single screen cinemas. What we do is we partner with the owners of the single screen cinemas, and they convert it into a multiplex. So usually a single screen cinema would have about 1,200 seats or 1,500 seats, and what they do is they break it down into smaller screens, maybe of 200 or 300 seats each. And that's what since we have the expertise of operating a multiplex, whether it's the food and beverage, whether it's the advertising revenues, the programming, the relationships with all the film producers, etc. That's our expertise in USP, whereas a single screen doesn't have that bandwidth and those connections. So we work well together. They become our landlords eventually. Okay. And whether it's tier 2 or tier 3 towns, you know, we are agnostic to it. We expand everywhere.
Okay. Now let's talk about your ad revenue per screen. I understand that it's about 40 to 50% less than that of your peers. What is the outlook on your ad revenue per screen and your overall growth targets? What are you targeting internally?
Sure, I'm glad you brought that up. You know, our ad revenue clearly has been a challenge in the past few years. But if you do look at our numbers in the past 2 quarters, you will see a significant improvement. We're up almost 50% year on year. And I do hope that that continues in the quarters to come. We've taken some significant steps to try and improve those numbers. And as you can see, one of the reasons we are standing in this property is that we've gone through a very conscious effort over the past 12 months to upgrade our cinemas and really explain to our viewers, our customers, and to our clients, the advertisers, that Inox is truly a premium brand. You know, I hope other guests feel the same way, you know, when they do come here.
I have no doubt while I'm standing here that I do. Let's delve into numbers as well. When it comes to the overall margin picture, that stands at about 14.5% from the previous quarter, Q2. And even the overall you know, ticket prices have gone up to about 183. What is the outlook when it comes to the overall margin picture and your ticket prices?
So, you know, margins are directly connected with footfalls. And as and when content improves, as we see better films coming and our occupancy ratios going up, we clearly believe that our margins will cross 20%. Currently, last quarter, as you rightly mentioned, we were at 14. I think the quarter before that, we were at 16 or 17, with a very strong pipeline of Padmavati and Tigers in the Hair and many others next quarter. You know, we are very confident that we should be going towards the 20 mark. It's not that difficult. We should be able to get there.
Okay, I'm sure your investors would be pleased to hear that. Let's talk about the overall F&B concept. That's become big with a lot of cinemas, you know. You're offering such a variety. I mean, we're talking makhana today.
Makhana, there you go.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the new popcorn.
Absolutely. So customers are just really not, spoiled for choice.
Yes.
When it comes to your overall percentage of sales, your non-box office revenues, what is the overall F&B contribution? Do you plan to scale that up?
Currently, we're at about 22% of our overall revenues are F&B, and I do feel that our patrons do have the ability to spend a lot more and consume a lot more food. When we compare ourselves to the West, the percentage of food and beverage consumption compared to the ticket is far greater, and I think India will get there. All we need to do is give our consumers a much better choice and offerings. As you can see, we have makhana here. We are going to roll this out to the rest of our properties as well. Currently, it's primarily in the metros. But as you can see here, we offer, I think there were 100 items on a menu. So when you give consumers the choice, I'm sure they'll consume.
Absolutely. Now, analysts are saying that the best is yet to come. We're talking about Q3, where, like you said, there's Padmavati, there's Tigers in the Hair, big films in the pipeline. What exactly is in store for us, and is the best yet to come?
Absolutely. There's no doubt in my mind. This year, this calendar year of 2017, we've opened 4 of our 7-star properties at Nariman Point, Metro, our city, and now Insignia. And in addition, we opened one in Bangalore. We'll be opening another one in Delhi in December, January. So, as a company, we're going to be opening about 45 screens this year, out of which I think 15 are already opened, another 30 yet to come. As a brand, as a multiplex chain, we are clearly going to be the #1 chain very soon.
Okay, very confident about that. Now, when it comes to the overall tax implications, it's a bit complex for the multiplex sector.
Yeah.
Now that GST has come in, how has that changed life for multiplex players like you?
So GST has been tax neutral to a certain extent, whereas our average tax base prior to GST was about 21%. Yes. That's now at 28% for tickets above 100 rupees and 18% for tickets less than 100 rupees. But we do
across the board.
Across the board. But we do get input tax credit as well. But on food and beverage, until the last notification that came out a few weeks ago, we were at 18%, which was an increase from the previous average 10% VAT that we used to pay. Of course, post the latest announcement that came, our tax rate is now 5% for food and beverage, but we don't get any input tax credit. So once again, that's neutral for us. We do hope that there is a proposal by various municipalities, and in specific Chennai as a city has imposed a tax of LBET, which is a local body entertainment tax, which is very detrimental to the entire entertainment industry. And we've made various representations to the state governments, and I hope they consider our request, because it just goes against the one nation, one tax policy. Yeah. And LBET is something that definitely should be avoided.
So the industry as a whole is against
absolutely
this.
The entire, whether it's the film production side, the distributors, the exhibitors, we're all together on
okay. This. Now, when it comes to your screen expansion, you're eyeing about 9 properties, 39 screens, and I think the capex per screen would be about 2.5 to 3 crore rupees, which would line up a capex of about 100 to 200 crores. What are the screen addition plans? What is the capex?
So, currently we operate about 481 screens, and we have a pipeline of north of 500, maybe 600 screens. But the key question is, in how much time will the 600 screens come up? So on an average, we would add about 50 screens a year. And as you rightly pointed out, the capital cost is anywhere from 2 to 3 crores a screen. And so we should be spending about 100 to 150 crores a year. That is the plan going forward. Would you like to go and have a look at some of the screens?
Absolutely, let's go. Insignia as a concept. Take us through how really that's worked for you, what the response has been. You have the new one coming up with the Inox Metro and the kiddie concept as well. What has been the response and how is that working for you?
So, we took a conscious decision about a year and a half, 2 years ago, that that there is a market for every segment of society. And people have different tastes or wants, and we must cater to them. Just like an airline industry has a first class, a business, and an economy, very similarly, we thought that it's important that the cinema industry offers the same product line to our patrons here in India as well, which is the genesis of the Insignia concept. We began in Bombay. We began it a year and a half or 2 years ago, but in India, I think the first time we started our Insignia screen was 5 years ago, give or take. But when it comes to the kiddie concept, once again, we understood that there is a market for children, which is a huge market, and it must be catered to, and which is why we've just launched last week our Metro Cinema with a special theater just for children. I'm sure they're going to love it.
Yeah, sounds fairly exciting. Now, let's talk technology. You guys really take it to another level. You know, the concept of a touch of a button. There's kiosks, there's IoT that you're implementing. Is this the future? Is there going to be a lot of capex on some of these new concepts like tech?
Well, Inox has always been at the forefront of technology in the cinema business, on two fronts. One is in the cinema viewing experience, whether we're the only chain in India to have laser projection at our Insignia properties. We use Wolfony 3D, which is the best quality 3D available out there. We have Atmos in terms of the sound systems that we use. So our endeavor is to bring the highest quality of technology and the highest quality of luxury to our customers, and that's what Insignia stands for. When it comes to the customer side of things, in terms of interacting with our customers with technology, as you rightly mentioned, we were the first to, or rather the only players to have the ability to order food from our app on your seat, regardless of whether you're sitting in a Insignia seat or a normal seat. You could be anywhere, and right on your app, you just press a button and you can order food on your seat and it'll be delivered right to you.
Making us lazier and fatter.
In fact, we've just started a new concept a few weeks back, wherein we've got the QR codes at the back of each seat now.
Okay.
And you can just scan that QR code and the whole menu pops up. There are 100 items, so
wow.
you really need to visit the website.
Really spoiled for choice. Now, 50 screens over the next 2 or 3 years, a 2,000 crore top line. Can we see that?
Absolutely, maybe more.
And by when would you target that?
Well, let's leave something for the for later.
Okay. Now, as my final question is that, as a company, what would be the focal point for you? Would it be profits? Would it be reach? Would it be market share? And what's the future for Inox?
So India as a country, Avanne, we are highly underscreened. We have only about 2,200 to 2,400 multiplex screens across India, another 6,500 or 6,000 single screens, about 8,000 in all. And we have 1.2 billion people. Now, the market is so large that we really need to cater to our audiences across the country. Inox as a chain, we are the most deeply penetrated in India. We're in 58 cities, but that's not enough. We need to have many more. Well, if you look at Bombay itself, it's a megapolis. We have like 5 cities inside the so-called city. Similarly, look at Delhi, NCR region. Within so-called Delhi, there are like 4 or 5 parts of Delhi itself. There are many, many areas and populations that aren't catered to with high quality cinema, and I think the future is really bright. Our focus is to deliver our product to these consumers nationwide. Currently, we've got 500 or 600 screens in the pipeline, but I'm sure that number will keep growing going forward.
Thank you so much, Siddharth, for
Thank you, Avanne. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, and wishing you all the very best.
Thank you.